It is still 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
on February 2nd, 2021. We're going to open the Committee of Committees meeting. Roll call, please.
Yep. Committee members, Chris Samples,
Here.
John Talbot, William Luxinger,
Here.
Gina Simpson, here, Jen Christensen, here, Jared Down,
Here.
President Rick Worm,
Here.
Treasurer Brenda Onabing, here, I, Clerk Sandy Moss, am here. We do not have an attorney. Engineer Matt Hanson,
Here.
Public Works Supervisor Brett Fergie,
Here.
Park Supervisor Nathan Hill.
Here.
All right, roll call is done. We'll entertain the motion for the minutes.
There are no minutes in the packet. The minutes will be in next week's packet on the consent agenda along with next week's minutes.
All right, then. We'll go to the officers. This evening, I have nothing to report. Sandy,
I do not have anything.
Brenda, I have lots of microphones. On to Matt.
Oh, hold on.
Need to wait?
Sorry, I had to mute Brenda's. You're good.
I'm good to go. All right, running down the project status report. A little update. Corey was able to get a hold of Mark Kelsey. Their family has been down in Florida. He said as soon as he gets back, he's going to get the pay request and waivers. So hopefully we'll have that this month. The North Junction Road, seal coat, blacktopping and widening. Aaron's got the design and everything done. It's over to IDOT for their review and approval. We need to get that because we're using MFT funds for that project. Aaron's hoping that, you know, he should get the approval this month, and then anytime after that, I'll get with Chris to kind of set a bid opening date for it. Nothing on the microservicing, nothing on Junction Way. Edson Road culvert replacement. Aaron and Brett met out there last week with the rep from the Illinois Railway and kind of got what we thought we were going to get. The culvert is really not their jurisdiction or responsibility. They said, you know, typically if something goes underneath their tracks, that would be theirs. So if we want to get those replaced, unfortunately, it's probably going to fall on the village to get that done. There would be he did say there would be a permit that would have, since it is on their right of way, we'd have to get a permit to do the work. And then there would be some flagging cost associated with working in their right of way. 72 sidewalks, haven't really done anything with that in a while. Nothing with the,
Matt, can I give you an update on that?
Yeah.
So the sidewalks, we drafted a policy and have sent it to Ansel Blank for review. I have not heard back from them, but I told them we've been sitting on it a year so they could take their time. So Ansel Blank is looking at a draft policy that'll hopefully we can move forward with that and then decide on the sidewalks what we're going to do after that.
okay, sounds good. The park pond modifications, nothing. Water tower painting, nothing with that till we get to do our 1-year inspection in September. The village hall assessment, talked to Alan, should have that done here in the next couple of weeks. And then he's gonna reach out to Sandy to schedule, you know, a time, either, you know, one of your meetings at the end of this month or early next month to kind of review the plans and layouts and cost estimates for that. So that's all the projects I had. One thing for Bill, I was going through some old emails. IDOT maintenance facility. Back in December, you contacted me about the burning issue and I got a hold of somebody. Did anybody get in touch with you or anybody else with the village on that? Or do I need to try to reach out and get a hold of her again?
I spoke to somebody at the yard directly. He claimed that he was the right person to speak with. He says he does want a meeting, he's eager to have a meeting, he wanted to do one after the new year. And just to contact him back, if he would like to get his price up on his thing.
Is
It's on the future plan.
your microphone?
Okay.
On? Can you turn your microphone on? Did you hear him, Matt?
Yeah, I caught most of it and everything. So at
Okay.
least you've been in contact with somebody and hopefully we can get the issue resolved.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
All right, we'll move on to the committees. Community development events.
Can we circle back to the B underneath him?
Sure.
That was added by you guys, not by Matt. That was the discussion
Oh.
as to what of the street projects that are listed on the project form that you plan on moving forward with so that we could start working on budgeting purposes for those projects.
Right. Well, the only other one that I was considering doing this year was the Junction Way, except for that I asked Aaron to, Fergie told me, that we might want to consider replacing the bike path, or walking path or whatever the heck it is, south of Autumnwood.
It goes down to Ogle Crossing.
Yeah, and the other side of Ogle Crossings, they're pretty crappy
There
shape.
they are.
And I thought that if we do, North Junction Way, that we might at least, get the option of doing the bike path as an alternate, either the whole path or just the section between Autumnwood and, Northwestern? And Northwestern, that way, we could keep the price lower. The prices that or the amount that he quoted that it would cost was, for the whole thing was like 75,000, and just between Autumnwood and, Northwestern was 50 something, and that was for everything, both the engineering and the rest of it. I thought those were a bit high because I didn't think it was really that wide or that long an area. So I thought we could, but when they bid it, if we go forward with the North Junction Way, which again is the only other one I'm recommending for this year, then we could do those as an alternate 1 and alternate 2. And we could see what the bid comes back at and decide whether we want to fix those.
So you keep saying only other one. What other one are you talking about?
North Junction Way? Or
No.
I'm saying the culvert, on Edson Road.
Okay.
I wasn't going to, unless that fails and we're forced to move forward with that,
Mhm.
I want to see what happens with it
I think she
before.
means like the other one in regard to the North Junction Road that we already agreed to.
Right.
The
So
other
you-
one,
so
you're
you're-
talking about
Well,
Junction Way.
well, back when we discussed it, we were going to do the North Junction Way as an alternate to it, right? Because we
Mhm.
were considering that one,
We talked about it.
Right.
They came back and said not to, it wasn't in cost.
to do them together. In fact, you can't be, well, you can, it's not that you can't, but right. So, we can consider a North Junction Way as a separate project on its own without MFT funds, going forward.
So your projects for this year that you're aiming for 2021 is the North Junction Road seal coating for 431,610.
It's not a seal coating, sorry.
It's, they
replacement.
call it North Junction Road seal coating blacktop widening
Okay,
is what it's
all right.
listed as.
That sounds good.
So that one's 431,610. That one you've already got engineering working on. That one was already approved to go out for.
Right,
to
but
Get for bid.
keep in mind that most of that isn't paid by the.
Half of it's about MFT funds and the
more.
other funds,
Right.
the Rebuild Illinois funds.
Right.
And then you've also got on here microsurfacing.
I would prefer to leave that for next year when we have more microsurfacing to do.
Okay.
So we get a better
So
price
you
for
are
it.
not asking to move forward on the microsurfacing. So that's,
Those were options, and I don't
Okay.
think that's necessary for this year.
all right. And then you have the Junction Way Street reconstruction, which you are looking to move forward with?
Correct.
Okay. And then Edson Road, you're not looking to move forward with?
No, and not unless it fails and we have to do something about it, and that would be apparently if we have a public outcry.
Okay. And then I guess what we need to know, we as supervisors, as we work on the budget, need to know from this committee board is everybody comfortable with the projects that he's listed? So it would just be North Junction Road and Junction Way.
Well, with the alternative for the path,
Yeah.
which would be no more
What
than
was the cost
75.
of Junction Way?
Junction Way is listed at 191,600.
That's short. Wasn't there engineering fees to go with that too? That would have made it closer?
That says construction contingency and engineering.
All right, well, that sounds good.
When we did the other path, did we tie them in with something else?
We did.
Okay.
But yeah, and Brenda and I think we just discussed that too, that the path funds actually come out of park.
Yes,
They come out of the parks budget.
I think that was the only.
Oh,
Yeah, so if there, we do try to do it as a contingency,
All
as
right.
an alternate to the streets project, just because it's a cost savings, but the actual payment of that comes out of the parks budget.
All right, well, then maybe John isn't interested in doing that. That would be up to him. To me, I thought that, and this is just me, I thought that the condition of the path south of Autumnwood and even past Northwestern is in pretty poor condition.
Yeah, because when I looked at doing, when we did the other ones, we didn't go down as far because it was the other stuff that needed it more.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
putting off that till a further time. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
that would be.
When I sometimes jog, I go down there and it's
Right.
not in good condition. Except for that, Matt, maybe you can explain to me, Aaron's cost seemed a little high and the engineering fees seemed a little high. I think the engineering fees were like 16% for the replacement of the path, and I thought that seemed high if we're only paying 11% for the road replacement, which is basically the same thing. Is it not?
Yeah, I'll get with Aaron on it just to check and see how he came up with that figure. Because really it's kind of almost maintenance work that we're doing on it. It looks like from his estimate, it's just a kind of a mill and overlay on the pavement portion of the pass. So
Well, that's what we were thinking it would be, and we thought it would be a little less expensive than that.
Do you have the number for the,
Yeah, he sent it to me. I can
Yep.
send it to you. It was 75,000 for the whole thing
Okay.
and 56 for,
yeah, 56 roughly for basically down to Northwestern.
yeah, but the engineering fees were,
Okay,
part of
so
that was 10,000.
75 would be the contingency, the engineering?
Well, I asked him for both of them, both sections, which I thought, if we didn't want to pay 75 for the total, we could just maybe do the intersection for 56.
Okay.
I asked him when they did the bid if that's what they would do, right?
Okay, so if we budget 75 for Park Path, that would be more appropriate. Okay.
Yeah, that was the total, right? 75, Matt?
Yes, it was 75 for everything all the way to the south end. And then if you just go from Autumnwood down to Northwestern, it was 56.
All right. Yes, no more than 75.
Okay.
Assuming the bid came in somewhere near what, and I assume that they're semi-accurate.
Are there any other projects that are pending for 2021 that the supervisors need to be concerned with?
Not
for
that I know
budgeting
of.
purposes?
That, we did consider doing the micro surfacing, but, because we'd like a bigger area, maybe get a better price in the future.
Okay,
Even though Brett does say that it's imperative we keep up with it, which I would agree.
okay,
All
that's
right,
all.
that's it.
When it comes to the projects and the budgeting, I'll give you the doomsday scenario in my report, but.
All right.
In my opinion, that junction way does not need to be redone. The only issue I see on it, and I travel it daily with my wife, the manhole covers are elevated above the concrete and it's got the ring around it. I'd be more inclined to look at a cutout and a re-asphalt of it. Otherwise, the road is not that bad. Here the road, I see
Well, that's what we'll vote on.
4 different counties I travel to.
Even with, if we do Junction Way 2, it's still gonna cut the road construction budget almost in half. Because we're using MFT funds and the other funds, then we're really cutting the streets budget almost in half.
I'm
And
gonna tell you right now, we're gonna cut $1 million from the revenue.
And we need to cut a minimum of 500,000 from streets.
would be nice to know this before we,
We're still working.
I just told you, I'll give you Tuesday in my report, but.
Yeah.
We just got the information Monday.
Yesterday.
all right. Then maybe we shouldn't even consider doing the North Junction one.
When we start with our budget, we throw everything in and then we go back out and fine tooth it. So that's why I asked you which projects you were moving forward
Alright.
with, so we can toss them in. And then when we fine tooth it, we'll see what has to come back
But
out.
before we make any decision on what we do or don't do, could we see that and how you came to that conclusion?
I'll tell you right now.
Sure, that'd be great.
Brenda received the last quarter check for 2020. It came Monday with the tonnage of only 193,955 tons. The last time that the village received that low of tonnage in that particular quarter was 20 years ago in the year 2000. Annual tonnage for the entire year, 826,000 tons. The year prior, 1.2 million, a million, 1.1. The last time the village received this number of tonnage in the overall annual was 2001 at 827,000 tons. So the tonnage has dropped off significantly. They've been telling us it has been. Now, we do know that LRS is part of the reason that it's dropped off, but.
For what?
Lakeshore Recycling.
Oh,
They lost that contract. They had a 3-year contract.
well, that
Something
was
like
going to the Cal that don't exist, so.
Lakeshore bought their own. If I
Yeah.
recall. Lakeshore bought their own.
Quad City area. They're just transfer stationing it out there.
Does any of this have to do with COVID and not having as much garbage from different?
You'd have more garbage.
Well, maybe at somebody's house, but.
Their
not
biggest
in
volume
businesses.
was LRS.
First quarter 2020, so the quarter before COVID, was significantly down. It was 23%
All
down.
right. All right.
Because we lost, what, 1.2 million?
We haven't lost that. Oh, you mean from the year prior? I don't have that.
Yeah, I think that's what
Hey.
the auditor said.
Have that up.
I'm going off the county's tonnage report here. The tonnage report's the same.
It is,
Dollar report.
I would use the term it's went down, it not necessarily.
it's
we've
around the
lost it.
1.2 that it's different from 19 to 20.
Now, when I say all this, the village is doing fine. Now, keep in mind, the village, the landfill operates on a cap capacity. You know, so it doesn't, they get to put so much into that can of soup. And however long it takes them to fill that can, that's all it takes. So our position's always been the longer it takes, the better. It stretches out our revenue over a longer time frame.
Because the village is gonna get the same amount of money. If they just take it in slower, it's just gonna be over a longer period of time.
Sure, but you have to adjust your budget to accommodate.
Exactly.
I understand. I just like to see what the predicted income will be for the next year. I assume you can calculate.
We're still working on it.
Fine.
We're
You got a
literally
program?
in initial phase of budgeting talks on the supervisor level. We met once, tossed everything at Brenda. I don't even think. she
No,
had
when
time.
you get it, I just like.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
Brendan and I talked about it, that's if I share publicly.
Well, and that's not an issue. I'm just saying, could you share it with us when you come to it's a guess anyway, or estimate, or whatever you want to call it. I just would like, when you guys are done, to share it with us so that we see, I can adjust what I spend to how much money we have. But you're just pushing the projects off down the road if they really end up having to be done.
Well, and you came into this when we've been very, very heavy into street projects. And before that, it was very heavy into utility projects. And so it's moving now out of streets and more into the other stuff that we need to get done again. And sooner or later, we'll get it to where it's more of an even.
And I totally agree. Whatever you put off is gonna have to be done at some point.
Yep.
You can't ignore it forever.
No, but I can adjust it and you can stretch it out and milk whatever, not milk, but coax along, baby, whatever you have to do to.
And I think typically what happens, Chris, in the budgeting phase is we start on our end as supervisors with some guidance from William and Rick and just toss everything in, and then it will go through. And at that point, you'll probably hear from Fergie and be like, all right, this is what we're looking at in the budget numbers. And then the supervisor will talk to each trustee of their department and let them know, okay, this is what we need to cut. Can we cut this? And then they'll talk to you. And then once we get to something that's somewhat balanced, we'll bring it to the board for all the fine toothing if we need to.
I'm kind of.
So you will see something.
With the unknown, this past year and the next year, moving forward, next budget year, probably the one after that, I'm leaning more towards, I'm not so comfortable, I'm not sticking my guns yet, but not more reserves if you don't have to. I can't-
Well, that's probably a smart idea.
Well, we've done it before and it doesn't go over well, but if we get to the end and we really can't decide what to cut, then we'll make the decision and start yanking projects that we need to.
Yeah, but the supervisors won't make.
It was not fun.
decisions. We will bring it to the board.
It did not
for
make
that.
people happy.
So that's the only reason I agree with that.
That's not an issue. Just like I said, when you have those, I'd like to see.
I agree to stay away from the reserves if we can. And if we have to cut things, then we have to cut things to be fiscally responsible. Anything further on B?
No, we needed some.
Then we're gonna go back to Jen.
Nate has reached out to me, and looking at how we want to set our date for fireworks, because he's got his schedule for events for tournaments. And so I mean, the 4th this year's on a Sunday. We normally have done fireworks on the 3rd. Do we want to stick to the 3rd? Do we want to do the 2nd, which is a Friday night? Do we, how do you guys feel? Were we?
How's,
Stick to the 3rd.
how's it shaping up the other communities? Their
Pardon?
day, what days is?
The 4th is on a Sunday.
Like,
We've done the 3rd in the last how many years? We've always done it on the 3rd.
Do what we do.
I like
Yeah, I do too. And people are used to that.
Sunday,
right.
Sunday.
I don't
Yeah, so it would be like a Saturday night.
I agree.
Yeah. It's, people are,
It's
used-
nice staying out late and be able to sleep in the morning.
The more we stick to our,
people can
becoming
plan.
more and more popular. event.
Right.
We're coming here, as long as
Right.
we stick to that.
It's like a tradition. Yeah.
Nate, do you guys have tournament on that weekend?
No, we have some games in the afternoon that day, I believe, but by evening, they should be done. So Saturday should work just fine. I can double check here real quick, but I'm pretty sure Saturday evening would work great.
So you'd be okay with that with the movie after?
Sure. Yeah.
Just double checking your schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. The fireworks, would be first and the movie afterward. So yeah, there's nothing going on that time. And I can reach out to the firework guy and get that drawn up and get that date locked in.
Okay, cool. And then another thing you brought up was if we were gonna do any other movies over the summer.
Yeah.
And so I think we're probably gonna have a full schedule for tournaments. So it's probably not something that we wanna look at right now. We may have to just other activities ride out right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're still looking at a couple of other applications coming in for round robins and maybe a tournament. And then we have the Meridian Youth Games and stuff. So yeah, give me another month to fill in the calendar and I can get you the calendar and you guys can find a date that fits. I'm sure there'll be some time in there. I don't know which one is best at this point because I really haven't filled the calendar in
Yeah,
yet.
I mean, I'm not gonna rush it because I know, kids have went without this stuff, but I think that's more important to get them back into their other activities and stuff like that. I don't think I have anything else.
All right, Jared.
Other than I think our streets department has done an awesome job with all of the snow.
And making room for Thursday snow.
Yep, and that's what I'm like.
Amen.
Hoping we don't have any other one. Just saying.
All right, now Jared, ordinance enforcement.
Nothing at this time.
John and Parks.
Did we skip?
We skip finance.
Oh, crap.
Can you not?
I didn't check you.
We already heard.
William.
It was
We
anyway.
already talked to
We
William.
already talked about his stuff already.
No, this is our.
It's the annual, home siren service contract at that time. For the 2 sirens at the village homes on the warning system. Anybody having problems with?
No,
No, sir. Nope.
make it happen.
John and Bolton, they're very good, very thorough. If you ever hear the siren not working, call me, I call him and he actually remotes in. He could be out today.
Sarah and I noticed, Judy, when it went off, that one of them sounded like they were struggling to rev up, but I told her that with the contract coming, they'd be out soon, so I wasn't too worried.
And this one here, this is the count.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it sounded like it was the one over there.
this is usually the one we've always had.
The one by Brenda?
Yeah, and Sarah and I could just hear like the engine revving in the background for us. We were
I
like,
was gonna say,
"All
this is usually the one that has the issue, the one right out here.
right." I figured they were coming out soon. We'll see what happens.
So yeah, the only other thing I was talking about was the budget and the.
All right, Parks and John.
Nate and I met last Friday. Nate, you want to just kind of go over what you were going to go over with the board tonight?
Sure, yeah. Real quick, so we've got the request for qualifications in from 10 different engineering and landscape architectural firms for the community park phase engineering. And so if any of the board members were interested in providing feedback on which, in evaluating those 10 firms, Sandy has some thumb drives with the materials on it and then an evaluation form. Each firm can is scored up to 100 points. So if you're interested in evaluating or reviewing the proposals or information, see Sandy and she can give you a thumb drive with all that data, and talk to me and I can give you guidance if you have any additional questions or anything. It'd be nice to have another, John and I are reviewing them, and then it'd be nice to have one or two other people take a look at them and give us some rankings or give us your top 2, those types of things. So.
And we were kind of trying to stick to a timetable of how as far as everybody come back.
Yeah, by next week would be great. So we could kind of, have an approval or have a recommendation, and then move forward with getting them on board to do the project, the pond and the community park redevelopment.
That's all.
Yeah, that and the only other thing I had was we got new logos for our Meridian Youth Baseball, and I'm sending out the registration forms next week. Got approval from the schools, got all the numbers from the schools, so I'll be sending those out. And then that's about it. I don't have too much more.
Do you hold on a second, Nate? Rick, I emailed those to you. Can you pull them up on the
Rick
screen?
could bring those up. I think
Yep,
you're gonna.
the new logos.
Are awesome. No stick people.
No stick people.
And I if you remember from years ago, we were trying to incorporate the train, a more modern type train feel, and I
That's
really,
cool.
I really think that does. They really did good with it. Get that guy to do those.
That's cool. That's neat.
Yeah, we have 4 different logos. One's a jersey, one's for the hat, and then a couple of them are for marketing. And they apply to both baseball and softball. And then we have color schemes for every background. So if the jersey's black, we've got the black one. And so we've got all the combinations that we need, 3 color. And that's the new Meridian Youth logo. The old one was just a baseball and some script. And the other idea that John and I discussed too was having parents buy a sweatshirt or a hat or those types of things, having them at the concession stand during Meridian Youth games or whatever, or selling them with the registration. Not trying to make a bunch of bucks, but again, support because right now the T-ball and the coach pitch leagues support the older leagues. So rather than charge a lot more money for the older kids, the younger ones. And so any way to kind of add some additional support there, and then give the parents something to wear to support their kids.
Very nice.
So
That's cool.
It really incorporates the train.
It does.
It's modern, it's not boring.
Nice job, Nate.
Yeah, thank you, Nate. Very good.
thank you. Yeah, it was it worked out. So yeah. That's all I have. So if you have any other questions, let me know. If you want to review the RFQs, let Sandy know. She's got some thumb drives with all the proposals on it.
I grabbed a thumb drive and just looked at it. There, a lot of effort went into all those proposals. That's it, you're on.
Quit it. Chris, the streets?
I already talked about mine, so sorry, Kurt, you must have something.
Wow. So just real quick, I'm sure everyone is aware that there's quite a bit of snow outside. So Sandy, you turning that down, or that's like crazy.
The wireless mics are not marked with numbers yet,
Okay.
so I don't know which is which. So I'm trying to figure it out
Okay.
as we go.
Anyway, I'm sure everyone's noticed that we are out winging. After every snow, we're out, we're hauling snow. We're pushing back intersections. We're doing everything we possibly can to buy ourselves room for the next snow. But I just want everyone to understand that if things continue, we're going to be hitting a cold snap. So there will be no more melt after Thursday, basically. So, and once this cold hits, anything that's in place is going to freeze solid. We will not be able to move it. So I want everyone to understand, I mean, we have comments on Facebook, good, bad. It is what it is, but if this weather pattern does continue, we do continue to get these snows and everything. I hate to say it, but our streets are going to start to get narrow. We're out of room, and once it freezes solid, we can't move it. We're dead in the water. So worst case scenario, right now, we're sitting pretty good. The only thing we really could do, we did it about 6 or 7 years ago. We went through and started pushing the corners of driveways where everybody piles up their snow. That's good and bad. We found planter boxes. We found all kinds of things a couple of years ago when we did it. Had some upset homeowners. So we haven't done that yet. We may not do that simply because we don't know what is buried there.
And I'll tell you, we're not the only municipality doing it. I watched Lowe's Park today winging everything they could do.
Yes.
They even had loaders out moving stuff on the residential streets.
Yes.
Full-size articulated loaders
So
moving stuff.
we may push some driveways back. We will not get them all done before the snow hits Thursday, because Harvest Glen alone is a several-day process just to push corners of driveways. So we may start that tomorrow. We don't know. But like I said, just be prepared that if this continues, the streets will start to get narrower because we cannot get it off the streets once it freezes solid. So we're doing our best, like every community around is trying to do their best and deal with what we've got. But, it may go downhill a little bit from here. So just wanted everybody to be aware.
Do you know what they're projecting for Thursday?
Right now, I've seen 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and 3 to 6. So it's Davis Junction, so
1
it's
to
probably
6.
3 to 6. So
What I've seen so far is snow, rain, or wintry mix.
Yes.
They're not sure because there's supposed to be a high close to 40.
Yeah.
And long range forecast, we're in this 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 3 quite
Okay.
a bit as of right now. So,
Well, all kinds of good news. Thank you.
yes.
And I think the high after Thursday is what, 12 for about 4 days?
Once Thursday
After
night
Thursday.
hits, we will be below 0 at night for the next at least 7 to 10 days as of right now.
It will be.
So everything will be just like concrete.
Mhm.
So anyway, just wanted,
Okay.
Well, I appreciate your efforts. I thought I was out at 6 o'clock on Sunday morning, and I thought the village roads looked pretty good. I mean,
I will say that this crew is beyond
I
phenomenal.
would hope that
So-
everybody who lives in the harder to get to places such as the cul-de-sacs and some of the smaller, narrower roads would have some patience, because it takes a little while for them to get back and do your section. But, for the most part, I drove out of town and it was as good as the state highway was, and a lot better than some of the township roads. So I appreciate it.
Yes, no, the entire crew has done an amazing job. I mean, they've been busting their butts out there. So
Mhm.
everybody, whether it's plowing at midnight, Nate and Kenny out working all night long just to keep stuff open for us, or the crew cleaning up during the day, hauling snow. I mean, they've done an outstanding job. So,
Cause we're gonna have this cold snap and then it's supposed to start snowing again on the
Yes.
13th and the 14th.
Yes.
So I mean,
so
clean in front of your mailbox as good as you can.
anyway, that's all for me. Thank you. Appreciate
On the bright side, 46 days till spring.
it. Yes, yes.
That's
Only
it.
6 more weeks.
That's it for streets too.
39 till daylight savings. All right, move on to utilities, Dina.
I don't have anything unless Fergie does. The only thing, as you were mentioning thing with the budget, our priority would be the SCADA project. And so okay,
We made that a priority during our meeting too.
awesome. Okay, that's all I needed to say.
Yes, Jason and I, we talked quite a bit. It sounds like they are nearing the end of our spec on what we're looking at for the SCADA. We're still answering some questions. We will probably for the next committee level, Sandy, bring it to the board. We will be talking about preferred vendor versus bid. We'll have that discussion. I think we've kind of touched on it before, but we'll just have the official discussion so that way the engineers know where to go with this. So, but for a later date.
And just let me know, because that might be
Sure.
one where we move the attorney's presence at a meeting to the same time
Yeah,
that discussion.
That way questions can be answered.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So
Super.
that's it. Thank you.
That's all I had.
It'll be interesting to see the difference in 23 years of
Mhm.
technology, what it's,
Yeah.
because it was pretty good in 98.
Yeah, let's just say
Or,
I'm
I'm sorry, not 98, 09. Wow. It's only been 12 years. No. I thought well, somebody was saying it was 98, but that was when the water system went in.
Correct.
The sewer was 09,
yes. So,
the new one. All right, anything on unfinished business?
Yep. So as I mentioned on this, sidewalks, I've sent that over to Mark Heinley and Ansel Blink and asked him to start working on that. As I told you guys last week on B, the antennas for the water tower, in your packets, I had included quotes for those. We had obtained a quote for putting newer upgraded equipment back on the tower as opposed to our own equipment. I did forget to include the quote to just put our own equipment back up there, our existing. It was like 10,000 or so. I don't remember the exact quote on that
to put
one.
the,
To put our current,
Yeah, it
what
was
was
eight-
there
I
back.
think it was 8 to 10 or
Yeah, it was like 8 to 10,000 to put our existing equipment back up there. Jesse Feisakna's recommendation was why it's down, upgrade it, as opposed to waiting till next year and then having to pull it back down and get new upgrades to it, or however long it may last. So in your packets, you'll see, I also obtained a quote from iFiber, because then we had the discussion of what if we just link it to the iFiber like Village Hall is, and what's the cost of that? As it stands, the iFiber would be right around 69,000 upfront, and to put new equipment back on the tower would be right around 75,000. The new equipment on the tower would not have a reoccurring fee. We would incur an iFiber fee of $1,500 a year for the use of the fiber. It's very comparable to what we pay for here at Village Hall. However, we are no longer transmitting wirelessly.
Right, you just,
Internet
all you'd ever do is
service.
upgrade the links on either end, not radios.
What are the antennas? What are they for?
So that's the connection to the wastewater treatment plant and to the concession stand. So like right now, Brenda cannot control the fob services in those two locations because there's no connection to those services.
So where's we need an antenna on the water tower to go to the wastewater treatment plant and
So
Right.
we don't need it for the concession. We use it for the concession. We can use the top of the public works building to get to concession. We can use Village Hall to get to concession. So concession is kind of like a moot point. It's really how do we get the best quality service to the wastewater
we
treatment
still need
plant?
an antenna on the water tower.
Not
if you go with
the
iFiber.
Is the wastewater treatment plant on fiber?
No,
No, that's what she's saying. The quote is to get iFiber to the wastewater plant.
yeah.
Oh, not to the tower.
No.
No.
Yeah, this quote,
Yeah.
and the reason that iFiber is so expensive is they literally have to drag it from the intersection of Rolling Meadows Road and 251 all the way down Rolling Meadows Road to the wastewater treatment plant. We did look to see, as we have an easement that crosses that cornfield. Unfortunately, David had said that that easement is for us, not iFiber, and iFiber will continue to own the iFiber line and maintain it. It's their line. We just use it. We pay them for their.
So the one failure of the radios on the tower and at the wastewater plant are the trees. We put up a tower tall enough last time to clear the trees, but over time, trees grow and eventually the trees will end up blocking it again. The thing you have to get over between the water tower and there is that bridge and the trees. It's a good option.
We were about to put up a tower out there behind the wastewater treatment plant for this.
Temporary tower?
We
5 years ago,
we ended up putting up a telephone pole.
But like you said, as the trees grow.
We knew it was a stopgap because as the trees grow, that we don't own the trees. So you could send somebody out to cut them down as long as I didn't know.
Only for the doors. Where else?
No, it's the SCADA.
It's access control, SCADA, everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we never have to worry about antennas.
Another thing, and I'm not an expert on this, and Rick would probably, or Sandy, one of those two. But one thing you also have to figure in is when we do our antennas that we currently have, you have to figure end of life in. And end of life, correct me if I'm wrong, is much sooner with the system and the style that we have now versus if we went fiber.
Well,
And-
again, instead of replacing radios that are picking up back and forth and the lag you're going to get with those, especially as they start to age, you're going to run fiber, you're just going to have a link on either end. And it's still going to be a link, but it's not going to be it's a whole lot simpler to have an interface than it is to have a radio.
But iFiber only goes to the water treatment plant, right?
Right.
But how do you get it to the water tower?
You don't.
We don't need it to go to the water tower. We're only
Wastewater.
using the water, we're only using the water tower as a central point in which to pivot the other buildings off of.
Oh,
But
I
if
see.
we've got
right.
wastewater with its own, we don't need to pivot from the top of the water tower anymore. And so in addition to all those things, it also removes another antenna from the top of the water tower, freeing up space up there.
When do we have to make a decision about putting stuff back up?
Yesterday,
Like, yes.
So you save $10,000 by not putting it up. So you take it off your 68, basically speaking, and you're talking about $58,000 into the iFiber connection.
Only if we were to get all the equipment.
Which one was the one? 74 was the one with that.
70, it's 74.9, so 75,000 for all. the
Or we can put
equipment.
what we had back up.
That was for new antennas though, right?
That's new antenna.
Right.
Which
But you
is
could put the
now-
old ones back up for 10 grand.
We could, but then the lifespan of those old ones, it's nearing the.
I get
end.
that, but I would say that you're, one way or another, you're gonna put $10,000 into it at least. So I
Yes.
would take that off whatever the cost of the iFiber
They
is.
have to do it.
And you're talking $58,000 to, and then $1,500 a year.
Anybody look at the budget?
Um,
Your budget?
I have not looked at it.
I believe
I'm
we,
just
I
hearing
believe there's plenty of money still available.
See if
We
there's
can
any
make it.
portion that we can do it
Oh, you shouldn't
administrative
say it
as
like
well,
that.
because
That's
the-
totally wrong.
if you can split it between utilities and admin, because it is the access control
Yeah.
and
And admin, in most of, well, I'll speak for my budget. I haven't spent as much money this year as we had originally budgeted. And I personally know that I still have 50,000 sitting in
I
one
can
of
tell
my
you
line
what,
items.
that's telling me. We put the antennas back up, we get a new SCADA system, and it's gonna tell us.
It's
you know
not gonna
what?
work.
it's too slow.
It's not gonna work. I know it's not. I mean, it's just, that's how it works. That's exactly
will.
what happens every
I would
single
be in
time.
favor of spending the $58,000 to have a hard line into the water treatment plant.
Yeah.
And
Because then you would never have to
Yeah.
deal with it again.
Well, let's back up though. It is 68,000.
I know, but basically you're saving 10, it's
We
one,
don't
you're
wanna get a
spending
false number out
10,000 one way or another.
Sooner or later,
if
we're
we
gonna
did
have to
split it,
have
then
it,
that would not
so
be
might as well do
Yeah,
it.
the simple thing, storms.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whether you
You're-
put the old stuff up and it fails, you put the old stuff up and it's not fast enough, or the trees grow up in front of the old stuff, and then you have to put new stuff up anyway.
It's gonna be up and down, up
You,
and
you,
down.
exactly. It's gonna
Or like
piecemeal
yours
you to
is
death over
probably
time.
I've never seen anything faster than the iFiber. It's excellent.
Agreed. We use it here at Village Hall, and if I ever do have an issue, they're very good about being on top of it and letting us know and keeping us updated. And well, as long as you get the right person over there. Not everybody at NIU knows what the
Well,
NIU
it is a
is.
governmental agency.
I know, but they've been pretty good. And over the years, I think I've had a handful of issues, and that's it.
It hasn't been bad.
No, not at all.
It sounds like the right thing to do, and if money is available, piecemeal together, do yesterday. I'm assuming that's the right.
What I need iFiber to do is to put in a 12-inch support pipe next to their fiber to hold it up.
It seems
Yeah.
funny because they're not gonna do it right away, right? They're not gonna do it till spring,
As soon
right?
as the ground thaws, they'll be in.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be a while.
But we, yes, but.
But we can approve it.
We need to
I get
continue
it.
moving
I get it. I'm
forward.
just saying.
So can we put it on next
They're
week?
not
I
gonna do it
absolutely
tomorrow.
can. If everybody's in favor of
Can
the
we put it on
iFiber,
next
I'll
week
just
for
put it on
approval?
next week's agenda and
Yeah,
get it
I'm
moving.
fine with it.
Yeah.
And hopefully get us on one of the first sites as
Builds.
soon as it thaws.
Good deal.
I'll work with Brenda to confirm
They're
that we've got
lucky to
enough
be
money, but as I
able to
said,
be
I know
mayor,
my
you
budget
know
will
what I'm
not.
saying?
That means you can take that one off the unfinished business.
we got
Yeah.
an each.
Oh, it's
Well,
funny.
you get it faster than.
All right, anything further on unfinished business?
Thanks for getting that.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll get that one.
Every
Internet stuff fine.
Exactly.
Communication and everything.
It'll be
right?
next year.
So that would put us on the same line as what we've got here. So could we connect theoretically directly over there? Yes, because we're on a
Mhm.
connect line again,
No.
but it's bringing it into the lab building. Like that price is dragging it all the way down and physically bringing it into the lab building.
What I mean is when George is working on a station, he needs to do something on the internet, that's the whole access there too, right?
Yes.
The internet's going to the fiber now instead of. the
Yes.
video.
Yep.
Yes. And
Like he said, it controls everything. It's access control, it's SCADA, it's internet, it's.
here's an example of where we're at this moment. I attempted to download Google Chrome and it would take 19 hours to download right now.
Well, I'm just thinking ahead, but
Yeah,
this allows us to put a server over there.
it does.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
Totally.
absolutely does.
and we have the cameras out there too, are unbelievably impossible to get into.
All right, then I'll confirm with Brenda the money's there and stick it on the agenda for next week.
Thank you.
All right, now, anybody have anything further on unfinished business? All right, public,
Nothing.
anything further from any of the board members?
No, sir.
Motion.
Anything further from other officers?
No.
All right,
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Jared makes a motion to adjourn, Chris seconds, roll call.
Jen,
Yes.
Jared,
Yes.
John,
Yeah.
Tina,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 7:48.